$22,000 in addition to what we got last year. The town has expressed their wish that we come in with a level budget. I know at one point in time we had asked for 150. That was pretty much the language-based initiatives, the accreditation pieces that were in the district improvement plan, and a little bit of extra money for some of the other parts of the district improvement plan. Then we went one step further and asked for another $72,000 for materials such as books and assessments. My suggestion, and at this point it's only a suggestion, is we could let that amount go into free cash, and then if we need it and the budget is unbalanced, go back and ask to the town next year for that money back. Or we can use it kind of like the police department did this year. They had some savings and they're using it for some of their capital needs. We do have some of those as well. We have stuff that, we keep putting off. Most of our TVs are 10 plus years old and they're just dying left and right. I had Mrs. Lewis go ahead and send out a survey to the staff, how many are already dead, how many are on their way out, and how many just need to go. So I would like to use some of that money to replace the old equipment with new equipment. We do have things that we've put off fixing as well, but we know are out there in the capital side. For example, well and sewer pumps, sewage pumps in the leaching fields that should be replaced, but we had put it out a couple more years, hoping to God that they don't go, that we could use to replace this. And we could see how far we can stretch the dollars we saved this year to get either the materials or the books, like the assessments and books, out of this year's budget, and then perhaps at town meeting take it off the table when we go to town meeting by doing a downwards amendment, and perhaps just go back to asking for the $150,000. That's just my suggestion of what we could do. And I know we discussed it at the budget workshop the other day. But now that I'm looking at the numbers, I'm pretty confident that we could probably squeeze anywhere between 50 and 100 if nothing bad happens between now and June.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Larrabee?
I wasn't able to make the budget meeting, but from what you're saying, I would absolutely be in favor of using the monies to buy the books. I think that's the right thing to do for the town instead of turning it in. I mean, I know they want free cash, but we have the need. It's just doing it now instead of next year and not going to town floor with the 222, rather go with 150 and just pre-purchase the books now and do it that way if we can.
And I don't know how far to stretch it, but, those other pieces of the replacement of the equipment and perhaps...
And maybe one of the accreditations, get that out of the way, I think.
Some of that, the problem is the work has to be done next year, so I can't pay for it this year.
But if we bank, can you bank it and...
There's no way to bank it.
There's no way to...
That's part of the economies of a town budget, that when June 30th comes, it closes the door. So I'd rather do things that we know we have to do, but we just haven't done it because we've never had enough money to put it aside to do them, like replacing the TVs that are dead. They're just sitting there collecting dust. And the teachers, when they need one, we have to roll them around in carts, the few that we still have that are not already bolted to the wall.
How much are whiteboards, smart boards about?
Well, they're expensive. In the money that we would have would not go very far. One of the things we're exploring is the idea of using projectors instead of TVs, because some of the newer versions will allow you to connect cable to them. So as long as you have a place that you can project, you can do the TV, whatever the TV used to be. You can do the cable, you can do news, current events, that kind of stuff. And then you can, using the computers that we have, you should also be able to do DVDs, educational DVDs and stuff like that, pump it through the projector to the wall. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility, and they may be a little cheaper than the old TVs. So that's what we're exploring, but, you know, if this happens, it's gonna happen quick, so I wanted to get some guidance from the school committee as to what to do.
Well, the books would be the first thing, of course, but
Bernard?
other than that would be a discretion of you.
I don't know what the price tag is on projectors. My sense, though, is that the difference between a projector and a smart board wouldn't be that big. And my...
Well, you need
my-
the projector anyway. So if we get the projectors and some other time through a grant or whatever, we can get the actual smart
Well,
board,
Don't the smart boards come with their own projection unit?
well, we can buy that projection unit.
If we go with this plan, we would probably use the same projectors that are currently installed with the smart boards at the elementary school and install them at the exact height. I mean, we know,
We know what it took for those.
Yeah. My fear would be that we would just spend some chunk of money on projectors, and then within 2 or 3 or 4 years, hopefully, we'll be able to upgrade to smart boards, and all of a sudden, the chunk of money we spend on projectors now is, we've just made those things obsolete and we throw them out.
No, we're
No,
kind of
okay.
trying to
no,
keep the
it-
two things
the room would
in
literally
line.
be smart board ready.
Okay, all right.
You know, we do have, for example, the Mac West PTO has, you know, indicated that if they can do it, they'll buy more smart boards. But they may be able to buy a couple of extra smart boards if we already have
Have
the
projectors.
projector, which we would need anyway, because we want to get rid of the TVs that are not working. So kind of trying to kill two birds with one
Yeah.
stone, get rid of the old TV, put a projector that can be upgraded later
Smart
with a
board.
smart
Okay.
board. If somebody from the outside wants to fund that, then we could do that sooner rather than later. I mean, we had the smart boards in the capital plan, and basically people down at the capital subcommittee of the town said, oh, no, we don't want to do technology because it goes too quickly out of,
Obsolete.
they become obsolete too quickly, or at least that's the way they look at it, so they don't look at it as a capital investment, although I would look at it as a capital investment. So I don't think the town's going to let us fund it through capital, so eventually it would have to come from our budget or grants. I'm just trying to provide something that the teachers can use in the meantime if their TVs are dead, and at the same time put us in the position that if we get additional funding through grants or maybe that foundation, we can put something else in there.
Okay, good, that answered my question, thank you. I just didn't want to spend some chunk of money on something that we were going to throw out in a couple of years. Okay, great, thank you.
If the TVs lasted, what, 12 years?
Actually, Mrs. Buckless has been cleaning. She found the first set were bought in 1994.
Oh, never mind, it was a little bit.
So what I'm hearing is, and I'm hesitant to use the term technology, in that we have monitors in classrooms that aren't working. We're looking at some potential funding that we can, where we've been told not to consider
through
smart boards or new technology as qualifying for capital borrowing, then we have to look at ways to shorten our investment, but to replace the current monitors in the classrooms with perhaps upgrading projectors instead of the full television.
Right. Back then, you know, even those TVs that we had, you know, they had the VCRs. Some of them still have the VCRs, but the VCR's not working, and we don't have many VCRs left. But they also had the ability to connect the computer to the TV, and that was what you would use if you wanted to show what was on your computer to the rest of the class. We're just doing that a different way now. You know, over time, you have to change the technology with what.
So for our next meeting, you'll prepare a list of,
Well, hopefully we'll have
Needs.
the survey of how many are out there that are dead that we need to get out, and hopefully figure out how many can we replace. Because like you said, I'd like to get the books and the materials